The morning fog still clung to the quiet countryside as expensive black SUVs rolled through the narrow dirt road toward an old rehabilitation center hidden between green fields. No one expected that the richest woman in the state would arrive there with tears already filling her eyes. Even fewer imagined that the greatest miracle of her life would begin with an ordinary single father who had nothing except a gentle heart, worn-out work boots, and an unshakable belief that no child should ever lose hope. Before this incredible journey unfolds, if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise for more unforgettable stories that remind us humanity still exists. Cassandra Whitmore had built one of the largest technology companies in the country before turning 42. Newspapers admired her brilliance, television channels celebrated her success, and business magazines called her unstoppable. Yet every award sitting inside her luxurious office meant almost nothing because every evening she returned to a mansion filled with silence. Her 12-year-old daughter, Maren, had lost the ability to walk after a devastating spinal injury caused by a terrible highway accident 3 years earlier. The accident had also taken Cassandra's husband, leaving mother and daughter carrying grief that money could never erase. The world's greatest specialists had examined Maren. They offered advanced therapies, expensive surgeries, and endless promises, but every hopeful beginning ended with disappointment. Gradually, Maren stopped smiling. She no longer asked to visit parks or beaches. She preferred sitting quietly beside large windows, watching children run through sunny playgrounds while pretending she did not wish to join them. One bright spring morning, Cassandra reluctantly accepted the recommendation of an elderly neurologist who suggested a small countryside rehabilitation center known less for technology and more for compassion. The place looked surprisingly ordinary. There were flower gardens instead of marble entrances, wooden benches instead of luxury waiting rooms, and cheerful volunteers instead of uniformed assistants. Children laughed together beneath colorful trees while therapists encouraged them with patience rather than pressure. For the first time in years, Cassandra noticed genuine happiness surrounding people who still faced enormous struggles. Among those visitors was a 36-year-old widowed father named Rowan. Rowan worked as a carpenter during weekdays and spent every free moment volunteering at the rehabilitation center because his own son had once recovered there after a severe bicycle accident. Since then, Rowan returned every Saturday simply to help families who needed an extra pair of hands. He repaired broken ramps, built custom toys, painted classrooms, and quietly encouraged discouraged parents without asking for recognition. His 6-year-old daughter, Ivy, usually accompanied him, filling the center with laughter as she shared coloring books and homemade cookies with other children. Maren first noticed Rowan, while he patiently built a wooden birdhouse with several children gathered around him beneath a large oak tree. Instead of treating anyone differently because of physical limitations, he invited every child to participate according to their abilities. He placed tools within easy reach, celebrated every tiny accomplishment, and never rushed anyone. Maren watched from her wheelchair, fascinated by how naturally he included everyone without making anyone feel fragile. Something inside her quietly awakened. Over the following days, Rowan never asked about Cassandra's wealth or recognized her public reputation. To him, she was simply another worried mother carrying invisible burdens. He greeted Maren warmly each morning, bringing small woodworking projects that could be completed while sitting comfortably outdoors beneath the warm daytime sunshine. Together, they painted birdhouses, assembled flower boxes, and carved simple wooden hearts that volunteers later donated to hospital children. With every completed project, Maren's confidence slowly returned. The girl who once avoided conversations began laughing whenever Ivy invented silly stories about adventurous squirrels living inside imaginary castles. Cassandra noticed changes no specialist had managed to create. Maren willingly attended physical therapy sessions instead of resisting them. She smiled more often. She started asking questions about gardening, birds, and woodworking. Most importantly, hope quietly returned to her eyes. Rowan never promised miracles. Instead, he focused on giving Maren reasons to enjoy each day regardless of what tomorrow might bring. Weeks passed beneath clear blue skies filled with singing birds. Rowan introduced Maren to adaptive gardening, carefully designing raised flower beds that allowed wheelchair access. Together they planted colorful flowers, herbs, and vegetables. Caring for something living reminded Maren that growth often happens slowly, almost invisibly, before suddenly becoming impossible to ignore. Her therapists noticed increased upper body strength simply because she eagerly watered plants every morning without realizing she was exercising. Inspired by Rowan's creativity, Cassandra quietly funded improvements throughout the rehabilitation center without attaching her company name to any building. New therapy equipment arrived. Accessible playgrounds were constructed. Families received transportation assistance regardless of financial circumstances. Rowan initially believed generous anonymous donors deserved the gratitude, never suspecting Cassandra stood behind every improvement. One sunny afternoon, everything changed unexpectedly. A little boy playing near the pond accidentally rolled his wheelchair toward a sloping path. Before nearby adults reacted, Rowan sprinted forward and safely stopped the chair inches before the water's edge. During the commotion, Maren instinctively gripped the armrests and pushed herself upright for several trembling seconds while reaching toward the frightened child. The moment lasted only briefly before therapists supported her again, but everyone had witnessed something extraordinary. After years without standing, Maren had risen through determination rather than instruction. The therapists carefully adjusted her rehabilitation plan, encouraging gradual strengthening without unrealistic expectations. Progress remained slow, filled with exhausting setbacks, sore muscles, and emotional frustration. Yet every difficult day ended with Rowan reminding every child that courage was measured not by dramatic victories but by refusing to surrender after disappointment. Those simple words became Maren's quiet source of strength. As summer approached, the rehabilitation center organized its annual community celebration beneath bright afternoon sunlight. Families gathered around long picnic tables decorated with fresh flowers grown in Maren's own accessible garden. Children displayed handmade crafts while volunteers celebrated every milestone achieved during the year. Standing beside the stage, Cassandra finally revealed that she had anonymously financed the center's expansion because one humble single father had taught her something every billionaire should know. True wealth begins where compassion refuses to expect anything in return. Rowan looked embarrassed by the applause, insisting he had done nothing extraordinary. Yet everyone present understood differently. He had restored hope to a child whose spirit had nearly disappeared. He had reminded an exhausted mother that healing sometimes begins long before complete recovery. Most importantly, he had shown an entire community that genuine kindness spreads quietly from one heart to another until countless lives are transformed. Months later, on another beautiful daytime morning filled with gentle sunshine, Maren proudly walked several assisted steps during a therapy demonstration while the entire rehabilitation center celebrated through joyful tears. She still faced a long journey ahead, but every step represented something far greater than physical improvement. It symbolized resilience, friendship, and the extraordinary power of ordinary people choosing compassion over convenience. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that hope can appear when we least expect it, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Paradise so together we can continue spreading stories that inspire kindness around the world. Special request: before this story ends, please comment "Kindness changes everything" if you believe one caring person can transform another person's life forever. As the sun slowly settled over the peaceful countryside, Cassandra watched Maren laughing beside Rowan and Ivy among blooming flowers they had planted together months earlier. The future still held uncertainty, but fear no longer controlled their lives. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not found inside expensive hospitals or powerful boardrooms. Sometimes it begins with a stranger willing to offer patience, compassion, and a helping hand without expecting anything in return. And in a world often driven by success and status, that simple act of kindness became the greatest legacy of all.